Thank you all for joining us for Pando Days. My name is Eugene Shirley. I'm the president of Pando Populous. We're here for the first of 4 Pando Days premier events stretching across this week. Today, we'll be hearing from the teams at California State University, Long Beach, Mount St. Mary's University, and Otis College of Art and Design. The challenge they're taking on is this: how might we engage more effectively with grassroots communities on matters of sustainability and specifically the transition to electric vehicles? Each of the teams has explored the challenge in a different way, targeting real-world effectiveness in diverse locations, including some of the county's most disadvantaged areas. The challenge has been shaped in consultation with partners who have a great stake in the matter: Los Angeles County itself, the Southeast Los Angeles Collaborative, SELA, and the City of Cudahy, which has served as the test case location for all 3 of the college and university projects that we'll see today. Pando Days expresses a not-so-secret goal that we have here at Pando Populous: to connect educators and their students to a big plan, the one that really matters: Los Angeles County Sustainability Plan, the boldest regional sustainability plan in the nation. Our work with students and professors is to catalyze projects that offer innovative solutions to the problems facing the Southland: problems of transportation, shelter, community, water, and more. The good news is we're succeeding. 4 of last year's Pando Days projects were picked up by outside funders, including Google, Mellon Foundation, the EPA. And to date, a dozen colleges and universities from across the region have participated in Pando Days, innovating 21 different initiatives, working across disciplines, and focused on the aim of vitalizing the region we love. So that's the good news. The best news: you'll get to see the results of Pando Days 21 premiered for you over the course of this week, coming from the 10 participating colleges and universities that have dedicated full courses, studios, or labs to this work. Note that we're recording these sessions. Following premiere week, our judges will listen to the recordings and view any supplemental materials the schools provide, and then make their assessments. On January 16, we hope you all join us for the conclusion of the Pando Days 21 season with our online finale. At the finale, we'll celebrate all the projects because there's inspiration in everything you're going to see, and we'll learn where the judges would most like to direct cash prizes. You'll also get to hear from our consulting partners about the plans they have for helping to move the best projects forward. So let's get started. I am delighted to have with us today Laura Iannisconi with us, who's representing Los Angeles County. Laura is manager of the Environmental Initiatives Division, Energy and Environmental Services, for the county's Internal Services Department. She has, with colleague Jennifer Caron-Sale, Wilma Franco from SELA, and the City of Cudahy itself, helped to frame the transportation challenge that the schools are addressing and provided advisory support. Laura, thank you so much for your Pando Days involvement. I know today's challenge, focused on community engagement and EVs, is near and dear to your heart. Please say a few words and set up the critical importance of this challenge for us and why meeting it is essential to the future of Los Angeles County. Laura?
Laura just arrived. Let's give her a second to unmute and make her introduction, her opening remarks.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Hey, Laura.
How are you? Thanks,
Good,
everybody,
good.
for joining.
No, I just introduced you.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Yeah.
No, you're on.
We're not Zoom capable always. So I'm Laura Iannisconi. I am the manager of the county's Internal Services Clean Transportation Program. I've been with the county for a couple of years. The electric vehicle and electric vehicle infrastructure market is fairly new to me, but I've been working in the sustainability world for over 20 years, previously in New York, working on Bloomberg's Plan YC initiative. So happy to have everybody's minds on these projects as we tackle this huge challenge of strategically deploying electric vehicle charging stations to meet the needs of all of our constituents around the county. We are primarily responsible for installing charging stations on county departments, but we are trying to collaborate as much as possible regionally to support strategic development or strategic deployment of charging stations to meet all of our community needs, but also looking at other clean transportation options. So rideshare programs, really getting people out of their vehicles. This was the impetus towards involving you guys and doing a community-based approach to see what those community option needs are in all of our communities. And I think it will be different depending on the region. So not just looking at getting people to purchase electric vehicles, but seeing what other needs are out there so that whatever infrastructure we put in around the county and whatever we promote is actually utilized. You know, there are a lot of pilots out there, car share programs, these electric scooters that are just being dumped, I think, on communities without actually reaching out to the community to see what they want. And so that's what this program and what we need you guys for is seeing how we should invest, not making decisions for a community, but involving them in the decision-making process. We want to spend your taxpayer dollars as strategically as possible, but then meeting the greenhouse gas and climate resiliency challenge that we have placed before us by the state and by County Board of Supervisors. So it's so great to see all of the faces on this call because I really think it's a regional effort. Our team, Jennifer, Karen, is also listening in, but my team is quite small and we're approached with a very big challenge, and the county is very large. So we have an opportunity to make really effective change and collaborate with as many partners as possible. So I look forward to working with all of you. Jennifer is really leading this. She's not able to speak today, but she has been really focused on this and dedicated, and you know, we're both really excited to have you guys on board.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Laura, and thanks so much to Jennifer as well. Hugely appreciate the involvement from you all. Now we're going to hear from the teams that have focused the fall term on meeting the transportation goals of the county's sustainability plan goal around zero emissions, enhanced mobility, and participation by disempowered communities. I will introduce the schools in alphabetical order. Each team will have 10 minutes to present its project, followed by 5 minutes of Q&A with a member of the Chief Sustainability Officer Task Force for LA County. So first up is California State University, Long Beach. Their project is titled Systems Approach, a solution for local transportation with global impact. It's a project that focuses on community engagement and education targeting clean transportation. With it, they're demonstrating their aim to play a vital role in meeting a pressing need. Professor Heather Parker is the team lead. Heather, we're eager to hear from you.
Can I ask one real quick question? Sorry to interrupt.
No.
Will we be given a summary of each of the projects, or should I take notes?
There are some, yes, so all of this is being recorded. This will go up on the website. There are short summaries on the website right now, and on a rolling basis, all of the full proposal materials from all of the schools will be up on the website. Thanks, Laura. Okay, Heather.
Yes, thank you. Thanks again to Pando, who has been extraordinary in the past initiative, as well as really following their mission successfully of accelerating sustainability. In LA County, Long Beach is the largest urban ocean city in the county of Los Angeles. So we're incredibly close to sustainability efforts, and we dedicate extensive human and institutional resources into sustainability initiatives. And we very much appreciate being able to be part of this project and to bring our innovative process that leverages both analog and digital experience to create co-created solutions for communities. Interesting, as we heard before, that within the Sela area, and we're very grateful for their support along this process, Long Beach is a big sister city to a lot of little sister Sela cities around the region. So we are also looking for our ability as a big city to support the smaller cities and to use the resources like our university that they don't have available to them. So to speak very quickly, we have prepared for this process through first an experiential design sprint surrounded on the topic of sustainability and the sustainable development goals. Then we took the process to understand the county and the brief, the region, the context, and our own strengths. We dissected the client brief and synthesized that with our field research, as well as understanding the online communication that was prevalent in Cudahy, and synthesized that into our own mission statements. What we discovered from that work was there were kind of two really strong tracks. So we developed two different teams to pursue those two tracks. And now we're looking for a brief that calls not only for sustainable transportation, but also for sustainable, scalable co-creation as a model for driving different solutions in different cities, because it's all very contextual. So we're going to leverage existing assets in order to create a resilient solution that the county can invest in and be sure that it has some longevity and is consistently edited by the community. So with that, I will turn it over to our first group.
Hello, everybody. Let me just share my screen. Can you guys see it? All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Raul Garza. I am the project manager and partnership lead for this group. My background is in cognitive science with a specialization in human-computer interaction from UC San Diego.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nargis. I have a background in computer science and engineering. I acted as storyteller and the designer for this project.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Chateau. My background is in industrial design. I got my undergraduate here at CSULB, and I was partnership lead and designer for this project.
And lastly, hello, everyone. My name is Allison Janacek. I also come from a background in industrial design from CSULB, and I function as a designer in this project.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. So the name of our project is called Connect, which stands for the Cudahy Neighborhood Energy Conscious Transit. So basically, we started with going into Cudahy and basically observing, immersing ourselves with people and the motion of the city. We went on to the CART system, an existing solution or existing transportation system in Cudahy, and we wrote it, and we found that Cudahy is a very tight-knit Spanish-speaking community that, like many other Southeast Los Angeles cities, deserves more reliable transportation systems where they can feel safe and comfortable. Our process was going into Cudahy, exploring, observing, and interviewing with the people there. From our observations, we were able to really get a good glimpse into the nature of how people got around Cudahy and what they were like. We wanted to focus primarily on existing solutions that we could improve upon and leverage with our own implementations. So for our proposal, we decided to take a holistic view at the situation and what is feasible given our funds and timing. We determined that the best course of action would be to go into Cudahy and try to inspire people to act with organic events where they can educate themselves and take part in learning about the system we're proposing. So our proposal would be a multimodal, interconnected transportation system that would provide Cudahy residents with expanded options and experiences in the choice of healthy, environmentally friendly commuting options. Our proposal would be unique because it is interconnected with different methods of transportation like bicycles, electric vehicle, car share, and the existing bus system that is currently present there. From our research, we found that there are some central hubs in Cudahy, mainly being Cudahy Park, Cudahy Plaza, and the schools in the area. So we took that into account to basically choose places that would be most beneficial to the people in the area and so they could have access to those different types of transportation that we're gonna implement in there. We found that riding the cart, we saw that there was a majority of elderly people and women that used it a lot to get around. And we wanted to kind of design around that and focus primarily on those demographics.
So
Allison, if you'd like to go.
Oh, thank you. So we're just going to take a quick look at what this might look like in action. We have our first contender here, female. She would find out about the Connect system through one of her neighbors. As we mentioned, it's a quite knit community. She is able to download the app where she is able to see the amount of bikes that are available and make a reservation for one. She walks to the bike station and takes it to the local cart stop where there is a return station that she is able to dock the bike at, getting on the cart and traveling to our destination. Our second example is our man here. He is attending a community outreach event where he finds out about the Connect system, intrigued by the concept, again, downloading the app to learn more about the services. And he opts to use the EV cars available to him for some errands instead of taking his current car and losing his spot on the street. So through the app, he again makes a reservation. He is able to locate this vehicle, use it for quick grocery errands. And while shopping, we were proposing an idea where you would be able to pick up other residents along the way. So he opts into this service, picks up another local resident, and then is able to drop them off at their destination and return the vehicle to the station.
So to wrap things up, we would assume that our project would have an impact because it would increase the mobility options that Cudahy residents have and also improving their health, given the types of transportation we're proposing. We also would like to educate and inspire the people there, especially the younger generations, to learn about and participate in sustainability in Cudahy. We also believe this would be a viable solution because there are programs similar to what we're proposing that we could also partner with different programs like the ones in San Pedro and Pacoima. And we believe our solution is scalable because we can easily add more units to the different locations, and it would be affordable because they are not that EV focused yet. We wanted
Thank you.
to
Thank you very much. We want to have time to hear from the second group as well.
Thank you. I'll stop sharing.
we are at time, so you can wrap it up.
Awesome. We'll go through our presentation really quickly. Clarissa, if you want to start, you're muted now.
Sorry about that, you guys. So today we're going to highlight CSULB's Yo Nos Ride. It pretty much highlights the free, sustainable transportation owned and operated by the local community, and it capitalizes on social networks to build the trust and reliability. Our CSULB design group consists of Parisa, myself, Clarissa, Parmise, Brent, and Kelby. The overall challenge that we wanted to present is to have the residents be cultivated through this ability to have a sustainability community, also improve the public transportation and social mobility throughout the space, but also have an affordable transportation system for the low-income community. This improves the person's health with cleaner air and having the future of Cudahy be proposed upon the design of developing a sustainable community upon a high population. Engaging this community through digital services and devices will pretty much outreach the community input through communication. Throughout our background, we've done personal interviews, scholastic representatives, and community leaders that are very relative to the generational families that lived throughout the city, and highlighted the social, inadequate social justice throughout. High communication movement, environmental relationships throughout the city have been displayed throughout the Cudahy region. Our proposal is to have Cudahy to continue to have this deep, meaningful relationships and these strong social networks that will help educate and excite the community about these transportational solutions, and also power these citizens to build the future. Not only Cudahy as a cleaner and healthier environment, but also have this sharing system of golf carts will pretty much enable the communities to take a green and sustainable transportation route throughout, and building trust with the communities and empowering each individual. These details of approach, as you can see, the map that would pretty much highlight the chargers being found at local parks, churches, schools, and shopping centers. They will also be carefully spread throughout residential areas to increase access. Users will be able to use the carts as a charging station throughout the city, and stations will be carefully located in trusted locations and be affiliated with various businesses to highlight local inferences. Cudahy is actually known today to have like a high density of cars and have a social injustice of pretty much having inability to be represented through their cars parking situation. Kelby will now introduce the ideal case.
Yeah, so in our research, we spoke to a lady, her name was Maria. She was walking to the grocery store. So ideally, using this system, she would be able to actually borrow an electric golf cart, similar to a program that we've researched in Chicago. So she would be able to borrow a local electric golf cart to use to get her groceries done. She would also be able to pick up her child from school, giving other neighbor children a ride home. And then with these conveniently located charging stations, she would be able to drop it off very close to home so that she would be able to get more groceries, buy in bulk, saving money, as well as help other neighbor children get home without walking on busy streets. We also talked about implementing some kind of reward system to be able to help incentivize the community to be able to make use of this system. So moving along, we did take a look at some different details. We have some ideas for advertising. We have some ideas for future accessories and additions to these kinds of carts. And we also took a look at the budget and key personnel that you guys can take a look at later on with our materials. So we really appreciate your time. And this has been our second proposal from CSULB. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the team. And as we share the resources, you'll see there's extensive resources. The Immersive Design Research Lab worked on this over the summer, and these teams have collected lots of video and photographic information. And so we look forward to sharing that. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much, Heather, and thank you very much to the team. The CSO task force member who's hoping to serve as a respondent to the project is unable to be with us today. So stepping in is Judith Parker, my colleague and the Emmy Award-winning narrative coach who has been helping all Pando Days projects hone their submissions. Judith, we're past time, so let's just do one quick question. Judith, over to you.
Okay, I just managed to lose audio, didn't I? I mean, video. There we go. Okay, Heather, thank you. Thank you, Eugene. Thank you, Heather, and thanks to your team. You've set a high bar. Heather, you've stated that the city of the future will have healthier air due to responsive sustainability efforts, and you've given us a very informed view of the necessity of clean transportation. So my question to you is just where do you want to take it from here? What are your next steps?
I think what the students have developed, and even though the proposals are very different, is that leveraging the existing system that's there that's highly used is to mapping different mobility modes to that system. And what we've discovered is that mobility is connected to communication. Some of that's online. You can see what the values are of the community online and politically. And both of those things, mobility and communication are interwoven to create community identity. So the next step would be to take this back into the community and with the contacts and the communication that's already been established, start to deploy this in a very small way and to test it and let it grow organically with the community.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Judith, and thank you, Heather. Next up is Mount St. Mary's University with Mapping Cudahy's Air, empowering the community with portable air sensors to map hyperlocal patterns of particulate pollution. Professor Adrian Jones is Mount St. Mary's team lead. Adrian, your project gives communities the tools they need to turn everyday real-life experience into data that they can use to ignite change. Tell us more.
Great. Thanks, Eugene. Okay. Everyone see my screen okay?
Yes.
Great. So this is a kind of an interactive website. If it doesn't work, I also have a static PowerPoint I can switch to if the connection is poor. But if you want to follow along, I can give you the link to the website as well. You can view it on your tablet as we're going or your laptop as well. So I'm Adrian Jones. I'm a professor in the biology department, and my 3 students that worked on this project are here with me today, Shanika, Deanna, and Susie from interdisciplinary or cross-disciplinary majors, political science, biology, and nursing. Okay. So let me just move this out of here. Okay. All right. Okay. So air pollution, as we all know and understand, is a global issue. In 2019, the World Health Organization estimated that pretty much the entire world's population lives in places above air quality guidelines. And this is a website map where you can kind of get a real-time glance of air pollution around the globe, right? So you can see green is where the healthy air is, yellow is where moderate, and red, purple is bad. So you can see this is not a problem unique to Southern California. Further, the World Health kind of ranks air pollution from indoor and outdoor sources, and just outdoor air pollution alone, one of the top risk factors for death around the world. So it's a very serious issue. Okay. So just a little bit about particulate matter pollution. So air pollutants can be all different types, from ozone to NOx and SOx, and particulate matter is one of the most serious for concern. You can measure it in different sizes. The one we focused on was this 2.5 microns. This is the width of your hair, so you can see how tiny these particles are. And these particles can penetrate your lung and cause ill health effects. Major components of particulate matter are things like black carbon, mineral dust, nitrates, ammonia, And PM, like I said, PM affects more people than any other pollutant on the planet. There's these limits that the World Health, recommended limits that the World Health and the US EPA set. And I want you to kind of remember these limits as we're looking through the data. So the World Health sends a daily max as 5 micrograms per meter squared. That's what the air should be breathing on a daily basis, or a daily basis over a year, and then 10 micrograms per meter in any 24-hour period. The US EPA's is a little bit higher. You want to keep it around 12, 15 for your annual mean of air, and 35, no more than 35 for your 24-hour annual mean. And I think a lot of us are familiar with this AQI, this air quality index value, ranging from good to unhealthy for some groups to very unhealthy. And these are some of these AQI values and their corresponding particulate matter pollution values. So in Southern California, right, we have these monitoring sites that the AQI can be built on. So this is a live map as well. So you can kind of think about which area you live in, and you can see what your current air pollution is like. This little pink square here is Cudahy. So that's what these little circles are. So you can kind of see that not every community has one of these permanent air sensors. Another thing we can look at here is the hexagons are the average values from 1998 to 2016. This is like almost 20-year average of PM 2.5. So you can again see that a lot of communities in LA are suffering from high particulate matter pollution. And if we just click on one of these values, we can see that the 10-year annual or the 20-year annual value was around 15 micrograms, right? And if you remember those values, this is well above those values. And then I think everyone's familiar, and if you're not, go ahead and grab your phone and pull up the weather, right? The local weather. And you can see that air quality is right there underneath the weather. So you can kind of get a feel for it as you're going about your day, right? And depending on which operating system you have, you may get more or less information about the air quality. So this is one that I looked at just the other day in Cudahy, and you can see it was in this unhealthy for sensitive groups. And you can also look at data across multiple years, right? So these are particulate matter or AQI values for Los Angeles County across the last 10 years, right? And you can pick out some patterns right here in the data, right? Does anyone have any guesses what's going on in July here with these really high values? You can put it in chat or yell it out, I guess. The 4th of July, right? All the fireworks. Yeah, exactly. Fireworks, 4th of July, right? New Year's fireworks. You can see this is the beginning of lockdown from Corona, where we had this really stretch of clean, healthy air days. So looking at these patterns, you can tell the history of a community as well. Okay, so this USC Children's Health Study started in 1992, and it really showed that the negative impacts of particulate matter pollution and other air pollution on children, right? So this, if we just look at this graph here, this is if you live in a community with higher PM 2.5 values, right, you're more likely to have compromised lungs. So the y-axis is a measure of compromised lungs. And this is why your lungs are still developing before you're age 18. So air pollution harms children's lungs for life. Children exposed to higher levels of particulate matter had significantly lower lung function. In 2017, a study showed that Los Angeles had the worst air pollution in the United States, and particulate matter and ozone together were responsible for over 1,000 excess deaths. So it's definitely a big issue. This is a map showing these kind of health risks, right? So let's take a look at this. So this is this was a map developed by people at USC and Occidental College in conjunction with the LA County. And these are scores that show these cumulative impacts based on health. And they're based on things like proxy to hazardous areas, air pollution, climate change vulnerability. And again, right, we can kind of zoom in on our area. Cudahy is outlined there, but you can see, right, that across LA, the certain communities are much more at risk than others, right, and much more vulnerable than others. So our project proposes using these portable sensors to kind of fill in the gaps and empower the community to advocate for change. So like I said before, these permanent sensors are, are kind of spread out. And so we want to think about using these portable sensors to fill in. So this is an example of the portable sensor. This is the kind of data you can get. So it's GPS and you get this data as you walk around. So let's take a look at some of the maps with the last couple of minutes. So here's a map of the area, and we crisscrossed it on various walks with the sensors. So you can see some of the patterns overlaid on top of each other here. And these are just some great photos of the community. And then what you can do with the data is you can check out hotspots. So this is 1 day of data. So this is our walk. And then this is a hotspot analysis where it shows that certain areas have higher pollution than others. So particularly around these two schools, during school drop-off, there was heightened particulate air pollution. So we were thinking that you could use this data to kind of advocate for no idling zones around the school. Another thing you could use it for is to advocate for more parks and green space. This is the hotspot analysis here, where through the park is actually showing that it's a buffer for air pollution. And another thing, right, relevant to this particular challenge is you could advocate for EV vehicles. There's no EV stations in Cudahy. And so if you're looking at hotspot map, you could kind of see which areas maybe can benefit from more EV solutions, like we just heard from the other groups. So we have partnered with the community, and we talked with the SELA Collaborative and Communities for a Better Environment. Communities for a Better Environment, they have some of our sensors right now and are using them to complement some of their current calls for justice and action. And the community in this area definitely sees air pollution as a somewhat important and very important issue. So giving people the data, they can see it, be engaged, and act and advocate for change, right? So I want to, that's our vision, to have this library of sensors. And then those are some of the people we've been working with.
Thank you, Adrian.
Okay, thank you very much, Adrian. So we're bringing in CSO Task Force member Dean Kobani into the conversation. Dean rarely needs an introduction to sustainability communities, but given the pioneering role that he had in establishing the role of Chief Sustainability Officer at the municipal level. He is founding head of the Department of Sustainability for the city of Santa Monica, where he was for many years. Dean, thank you so much for joining us today. What questions do you have for Adrian and her team?
Great. It's great to be here, Eugene, and thanks so much, Adrian, for the fantastic presentation. Super interesting project that you put together there. The first question that jumped to mind is, I really like the idea of allowing people the personal ability to go out and take measurements and then use that to hopefully force change in their community. How would you propose to deploy these to people? Are these going to go to all residents, to certain activist communities, or I mean, what are your thoughts about getting these out to people so that you can increase the engagement in Cudahy?
Yeah, so we thought about that with so my 3 students are here too, and they can see how simple it is to use, but it does have a little bit of a technology curve. You have to be familiar with a smartphone, right? So it might not be everyone in the community is using these, but we thought we would work with nonprofit groups that already are engaged in the hard work in the communities, and doing campaigns about clean air. So we've reached out to a couple of nonprofits, like I said, Communities for a Better Environment already have some of our sensors in action, and then also some schools as well. So the AQMD, South Coast AQMD did design like a curriculum to use these sensors, and we would bridge that curriculum with the activism component, right? So it's cool, you learn about air pollution, you learn about health, but how do you take it to the next step, linking it to advocate for justice? So these sensors are great, they're robust. You couldn't bring this data to necessarily litigate, but you could use it to say, oh, we want a more sensitive sensor in this area. So you could use it to kind of empower and ask for something that then you could use, get information to litigate change if there was a polluter, or you wanted to campaign against the widening of the freeway or something like that.
Fantastic. And do I have time for another question, Eugene? So have you spoken with, or you or your students, have you spoken with the folks at the city and their planners there and other types of folks about how they would possibly use this data that they're getting from the residents that are collecting it? Has there been kind of a collaborative approach rather than a potentially like confrontational approach about this?
Yeah, no, so definitely we would want a collaborative approach. Yeah, no, we would definitely love to talk with the city and the county. We haven't done that yet. We've talked a little bit with Jennifer, but Karen Sales, but yeah, that would be a great partner to have as well, right? Because working together would be the best. Yeah. So
fantastic.
Hopefully this can maybe this program can kind of jumpstart that conversation as well.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Great. Well, why don't I hand it back to Eugene, because I know we're kind of under time pressure here.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dean. And thank you much again, Adrian. Our final presentation is from Otis College of Art and Design with EV Test Case, Marketing Electric Vehicles in Cudahy. Professor Gina Vallona is leading the team at Otis College of Art and Design and taking on this challenge. Their aim, create a marketing campaign that overcomes two of EV's biggest impediments, cost and image. Gina, over to you.
Welcome to Charge to Change. My name's Gina Vallona, founder and principal of Art Plus Public Practice and creative lead at Otis College of Art and Design. Before I begin, I'd like to thank the R County LA Sustainability Office, Pando, Otis College, Richard Shelton, Julie Schultz, and the Otis College student creative teams. The project began with asking how might we engage more effectively with grassroots communities on matters of sustainability. Specifically, our project focused on educating, advocating, and incentivizing Angelenos to make a change to cleaner emissions electric vehicles. To do this, we worked with partners in Southeast Los Angeles and the LA County Internal Services Department and focused on 3 user groups. Those groups included short distance, long distance, and multi-user commuters. Although each group had their specific needs and challenges, there was a through line of challenges that intersected each user group. They were fear of the unknown, lack of charging stations, worry about charge distance, cost of vehicle and repair costs, tech anxiety, and non-identification with the EV market. To address this challenge, students were divided into 6 multidisciplinary teams. Teams were taught human-centered design and branding strategy to help them find solutions to the Pando Days challenge. Teams researched, conducted interviews and site visits, presented ideations to partners, and iterated their way to the following Charge to Change marketing campaign. The campaign takes a look at diverse demographics, including single mothers, college students, the working family man, multi-generational families, and fleet business owners. So let's take a look at what an integrated marketing campaign might look like. Let's Charge to Change LA. Our first campaign takes us through a day in the EV life. This team looked at how they might create a campaign that expressed the convenience, coolness, affordability, and climate benefits of EVs to college students. Their research also found that 80% of college students stress about money, they worry about climate catastrophe, and 98% of them use social media. The target persona for this group was Jasmine Weller, 21, female, mixed race, climate conscious, and a busy social media influencer. The team identified that college students lack the knowledge of the climate benefits and affordability of the EV market. This team's solution is called A Day in the EV Life. Influencer affiliates create videos that educate and highlight about EV climate benefits, financial discounts and incentives, and they receive and offer bonus perks for other students who test drive and post using the campaign hashtag.
Hi, my name is Andrew, and my partners Eddie and Carolyn, and our target audience is a college student for our campaign, Evolution. So how might we educate and incentivize college students to learn about the cost benefits of EVs? Now to the persona of our target audience. His name is Francisco, age 21, male Mexican-American, college student with a $4,500 annual income, an environmentalist and an early adopter, and what he really needs is to have an affordable car, convenient, and low on gas prices. Now for our problem statement is that students need to be educated about the cost benefits of electric vehicles. Now for our solution statement, we developed our character Evan. He is an interactive AI who helps college students learn more about the cost benefits of EVs and the system with the purchasing process.
Hey, Evan, can you help me learn about buying an EV and how it helps our planet?
Hello, my name is Gabriel Kim, and our group did the multi-generational family, and the name of our ad campaign is People, Perks, and Planet. So our team's question was, how might we create a campaign that encourages a working class mother from Cudahy to transition to electric vehicles? The persona that our group came up with is a 35-year-old Hispanic female mother. She's a short-distance commuter. She lives in a multi-generational household. She's an educator, and she has about $45,000 medium house income. The problem that we're tackling is the benefits, economic, health, and EV perks of switching to an electric vehicle are often not targeted towards lower income communities. So in coming up with a solution, our group did strategic marketing to low income and location-based audiences. We want our ad tone to be straightforward and to the point, and we want to highlight the cost benefits and product quality, and the context and intent is important of this advertisement. So basically, our group solution with People, Perks, and Planet is to come up with a site-specific digital and print media ad campaign that would be on bus stops, grocery stores, shopping centers, school billboards with a focus that would be an informative campaign and highlight price benefits. These following slides are going to include some art that myself and my team came up with for this ad campaign.
Thank you, team. Next up is Revive and Thrive.
We begin with our challenge. How might we incentivize and help a busy single mother learn about the benefits of switching to EV? I created artwork for our customer persona. This is Cristina Hernandez. She is a Latina single mother of 3, a retail manager, and she lives in a multi-generational family household, an apartment with her parents and children. Based on our research, some of the challenges that our customer faces are that she is the sole provider for 3 children and 2 parents, so she needs to save money. She has extreme exposure to pollution from living near the 710 freeway and under the LAX airline pathway. She would struggle to charge her EV as she lives in an apartment and wouldn't have access to home installation for a charger. Our solution is a cross-platform social media advertisement that speaks to the benefits and incentives of owning an electric vehicle.
The team's campaign includes a series of 5 to 20-second social media spots that highlight the benefits of switching to EV for the whole family. On to long-distance commuters.
Welcome to Power Up. My name is Kylie, and our team consists of me, Natalia, and Yihan. For our campaign, we thought, how might we convince fleet owners to switch to electric vehicles for their businesses? Our customer, Jose Martinez, 50 years old, male, Hispanic, high income level, owns a construction business and is an active community member. The problem we found was that many fleet businesses use gas vehicles, and if we convert them to electric, it could create a huge change to LA air quality. In our research, we found that roughly 14,455 vehicles and 8,600 equipment pieces make LA the largest municipal fleet in the country. Our campaign, Power Up, includes an EV digital brochure that will be sent to medium and small business owners and truck advertisements. Our principal digital brochure, designed by Yihan, will include the many benefits for businesses that use electric vehicles. Fleet vehicles will also have the option for partner branding, allowing for advertising for both the customer business and our county, LA. Thank you.
Last but not least, Team Switch LA.
How might we create an engagement strategy to communicate to underprivileged and diverse communities about the benefit of switching to green mobility? In our research, we found underserved communities are needed to accelerate EV adoption. They benefit the most and are the fastest growing consumer segment, and overwhelmingly support climate change. We collected some cultural insights. Hispanics share a collective culture, community of accountability and responsibility, and enjoy family music, humor, and food. Juan Aguilera is our target persona, age 35, male, from Cudahy, California, construction worker. Our problem statement: with the proliferation of green mobility, underprivileged communities are slower to adopt an EV. Our solution: a YouTube video or TV commercial spot to emphasize the personal and cultural needs of our target persona. Hey Gabe, have you seen the new electric trucks that are coming out? Touchscreen on the dash, room for the whole family, power and torque for days.
I heard that electric trucks are expensive.
Not with the rebate and tax incentives.
Yeah, Daddy. There's an electric truck there, good for environment, and you will be the coolest dad on the block.
Not only that, if gas keeps going up, in the long run you'll save money.
Honey, we all have to make the move to electric eventually.
Electric vehicle owners can also drive in the carpool lane. Think about all the time you'll save on your long commutes to work.
Nice.
Go for a test drive, check it out. Doesn't hurt to look.
Yeah, I think I'll check it out.
Yeah, Dad, let's make a switch.
Thank you for listening. Let's charge way to a healthy planet. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really enjoyed that. So here to respond to the Otis project is my dear friend and new chair of LA's CSO Task Force, Hydran Mumper-Drum. Hydran is professor and chief sustainability officer of Art Center College of Design in Pasadena. Hydran, thank you so much for being with us today. After listening to the Otis presentation, what are the questions that come to mind?
Hello, Otis. Gina, very nice to meet you. Really broad and comprehensive presentation. I kept putting together questions, and then the next team presented, and it was, oh, they answered my question, came up with more questions. The next team answered the question. You have a real range of team concepts. What occurred to me as the presentation was being made, that you and your students, you're really describing the future, right? We all know we're moving towards adoption of electricity-based mobility. The problem is to motivate people to move probably more quickly than we all anticipated. We're going definitely to electric cars, trucks, trains, buses, bikes, etc. So I have two major questions. One would be, and I know you had a list of next steps, but how are your teams planning on prototyping these ideas, testing them out on the communities and on the personas that they've targeted? How are they going to kind of refine the work such that it is effective? So that's question one. And the second question would be, how are you going to measure success? Once you roll out the campaign, how will you validate that it actually had an effect?
Thank you for those questions. Yeah, so we did work. We engaged Sela over the course of the semester and Jennifer at Internal Services. One of the things that we'd like to do next is actually sit down and look at each campaign in depth. Each team did a presentation in and of itself on their consumer profile. So we wanted to sit down and see which direction they think they might want to approach first, and then come up with a strategy on how we might approach the community and partner with them to engage those specific persona types. So we did focus on the short distance, the long distance and multi-user group. It could be kind of a three-prong campaign and distill the information from both teams for each group, or they might want to just do a test case with just maybe the college students because they've been identified more as early adopters. So that would be a conversation, I think a debrief to have with Internal Services and Sela, and then kind of strategize where we would take it from there. How we would measure success, I think we were looking at a couple of ways. Last year, we developed an R County sustainability prototype for an app that offered engagement and a feedback loop kind of strategy within that, but we do realize building out an app is quite expensive. One of the things that we learned and thought would be really useful is that because of COVID, when we were opening up, everybody's kind of gotten used to using QR codes. So I think you saw in one of the presentations on the billboard, they had a QR code there, and everybody kind of has the QR code app on their cell phones already, or many people do. So we thought maybe that would be a way to figure out kind of ongoing assessment where people who are engaged in the campaign or small talk groups, engagement groups, they could give direct feedback from their mobile devices, and that would allow the county to update the back end as they're learning more about the community and about the needs of the community.
Okay, Gina, thank you so much. Hydran, thank you. Anything else, Hydran, or is that?
No, wish all the teams much success.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. Laura, if you're still here, I would love to get back to you. You've heard your name and Jennifer's name mentioned here a few times as head of our consulting partner team from LA County. What has been going through your mind as you have listened to the presentations this afternoon? Are you encouraged?
Yeah, they're all great presentations. I had comments on all of them. For the looking at measuring the particulate matter in the community. I don't know if you've looked at what New York City has done. So several years ago, they started measuring particulate matter, and what they did was put sensors on kids' backpacks, and then they collected data that way. And that data has since been used by a variety of other research groups. I don't know what action. When I was there, we were, starting to move towards EV buses because the highest particulate matter was in and around schools because of idling buses, because of the dirty diesel buses that idle around the schools and the community. And there was also a study that came out of Columbia that showed the thing that motivated people the most was near-term impacts on their community, right? What drove people to change? And that was the health and safety and well-being of their community in the near term, right? So when we communicate these things, it's not just about greenhouse gas emissions and saving the polar bears, it's what people cared about in their community. So that type of data is really great, right? To show what's happening in terms of health impacts in their community. And so when you want to drive change, you do need that type of data. Jennifer did mention it to me. I haven't looked to see if cities or if the county has done that type of research, but we should look at that to see if anybody has been measuring that. You should look at what the AQMD has been doing. There might already be some of that, but look at what kind of things we can do with school children, because I think people might be open to that, and that's a targeted group that you might want to look at. And then in terms of getting the message out there, they're all great, getting the message of electric vehicles and buying an electric vehicle. I think there are other messaging too, and I'd like to know how do we message all of this information out best to our communities? So it's not just about how people can tap into rebates and resources to buy an electric vehicle. It's really what type of electric vehicle they need, right? I got a really good deal on leasing my EV because it's very small, and everybody's waiting for the F-150 to come out, because California in particular, everybody loves these humongous vehicles. Nobody's towing around a trailer. I just don't understand why everybody needs these massive cars that don't fit into any parking lot, because 10, 15 years ago, we were looking towards compact cars. I don't know what happened to California since then, but nobody fits into those compact spaces. Everybody's buying these massive cars. So how do we communicate that to people, right? Part of, I don't know if anybody touched on this, but there's range anxiety. Everybody thinks they need these massive cars, and our grid cannot support everybody buying a 500-mile range vehicle. We're not going to be able to meet that demand and supply that kind of electricity. And so there's this false perception of range anxiety, where people really only travel, 40, 50 miles a day. They don't need a 500 kW battery. And our infrastructure is moving such that we're going to put in fast charging along major corridors to support longer range travel. And so there's just a lot of these other nuances that we can get out to people, right? Range anxiety, buying a smaller vehicle, and also, do you need a vehicle at all? A lot of young people today, they don't even have a driver's license because they're relying on Uber. And so, this is where, I was touching on other clean mobility options. And so I encourage you to research some of those other areas to see how else we can communicate and message this information, and how best to do that in the communities.
These are excellent comments and questions, all, Laura. Thank you so much again to you and Jennifer, and thank you once again for the support that you've given. Many thanks to the schools who have dedicated full courses, studios, or labs over the fall term to create their Pando Day submissions, to the professors, and to the students who will be inheriting the future that we're now building. Many thanks to the CSOs, the Chief Sustainability Officers, who've joined with us today, and those who've advised this project from the CSO Task Force. Of course, Pando Days would not be possible without the work of many people on the team, but especially co-executive producer Judith Parker and event producer Shelley Goldstein. Make sure you go to our website, pandopopulous.com, to see all the school project descriptions and read through their presentation materials as they go up this week. Pando Days was conceived with the help of the CSO Strategic Task Force, made possible by the Conrad M. Hilton Foundation. Make sure to join us tomorrow, where we're focusing on shelter, location Skid Row. With us tomorrow is LA Deputy Mayor for Homelessness, Shea Ramirez. Presenting schools are SciArc, USC, and Woodbury. Don't miss Thank you again for joining us and have a great rest of your afternoon.